Right in the heart of Mexico City, there's a building that just glows. All gold and marble, so grand you'd swear it was built for royalty. But this palace wasn't for a king. It was built for something we think of as, well, pretty ordinary. Today, we're going to explore the absolutely incredible story of the Palacio Postal.
Just take a look at this place. It's got all the pomp and circumstance of a European palace, right? But its real job is way more humble. This golden wonder is a post office. Yeah, a post office. And that brings up a really interesting question. Why would you build something so over the top, so breathtaking, for the simple act of mailing a letter? That's the paradox we're going to unpack.
So to really get why a post office looks like a palace, we've got to go back in time, right to the dawn of the 20th century. This was the tail end of what's known as the Porfirian era in Mexico, a time defined by this huge push to modernize, to project this image of progress and sophistication out to the rest of the world.
By 1901, Mexico's brand new independent postal service was, to put it mildly, booming, but it was also completely overwhelmed. I mean, can you imagine trying to handle 130 million pieces of mail a year? So President Porfirio Diaz saw a huge opportunity here. This wasn't just about building a bigger office, it was about making a statement. He commissioned this palace to be a flagship, a solid, golden symbol of a modern, efficient, and globally connected Mexico. And to get it done, he hired a total dream team, the Italian master Adamo Boari and the brilliant Mexican engineer Gonzalo Garita.
Okay, now let's step inside. Because if you think the outside is impressive, the interior is where the real magic happens. So prepare yourself for the golden grand hall. It feels less like a government building and a whole lot more like an opera house, designed specifically for letters.
Just look at this space. Seriously, the moment you walk in, you're bathed in this incredible golden light that's filtering down from a gigantic glass and iron canopy way up high. Your eyes just immediately get pulled to that magnificent central staircase. It's a masterpiece of marble and bronze that almost seems to dance as it goes up. The whole atmosphere was designed to just inspire pure awe, a monument to a time when people believed even public services should be housed in places of stunning beauty.
So how in the world do you even begin to describe this style? Well, the key word here is eclectic. This is an architectural approach that doesn't really follow one set of rules. Instead, it's all about masterfully borrowing and blending different pieces from different historical periods to create something totally new and unique. And the Palacio Postal, it's one of the most brilliant examples you will ever see.
And what a symphony it is. Bouchari wasn't just checking boxes, he was conducting an orchestra of styles. You can see these delicate, almost lace-like details from Venetian Gothic architecture playing right alongside the super ornate, silver-like flourishes of Spanish Plateresque. And then the whole thing is tied together with these flowing, organic lines of Art Nouveau in all the metalwork. It's this incredible, confident mashup of traditions that creates something completely its own, a building that speaks a dozen architectural languages all at once.
Okay, so let's zoom in a bit. We've seen the grand vision, now let's look at the incredible details. Because this wasn't just a Mexican project, it was a masterpiece of global craftsmanship. And that was another powerful statement about Mexico's growing connection to the entire world.
This slide really tells the story, doesn't it? This building was a true crossroads of the world at the turn of the century. They brought in the absolute best of everything. The steel beams for the foundation came all the way from New York, a nod to modern engineering. All that exquisite bronze and ironwork was cast in Florence, Italy, the heart of the Renaissance. The floors you walk on are paved with marble from Carrara, Italy. We're talking the same stone Michelangelo used. And all of these world-class materials were then masterfully combined with beautiful cantera stone quarried right there in Mexico, grounding this international marvel in its local identity. And you see that incredible commitment to detail absolutely everywhere. On the left, you can see the bronze railings cast by the Fonderia Pignone in Florence. Their golden finish is still glowing more than a century later. Then look over to the right at the exterior. The stone itself feels alive, guarded by these fierce-looking gargoyles and ornate dragon-shaped lamps. I mean, every single surface was treated like a canvas for art.
This dedication to pure artistry even goes into rooms most people would never get to see. So in the ceremonial meeting room, the painter Bartolome Galati created these incredible allegorical frescoes. But here's the wild part, the most luxurious detail. He didn't paint on canvas or plaster, he painted directly onto a base of 24-karat gold leaf. The gold gives the scenes, which tell the history of communication, this shimmering, almost divine kind of quality.
You know, a building this magnificent doesn't stick around for over a century without having a pretty dramatic story to tell. And its history is one of incredible resilience, a cycle of being used as a fortress, falling into near ruin, and ultimately being reborn.
But after that glorious beginning, the palace entered a really dark and difficult time. For decades, it suffered from neglect, from damaging modifications, and from natural disasters. It became a wounded palace, with its very survival just hanging in the balance.
This palace has truly seen it all. Back in 1913, during the bloody 10 tragic days of the Mexican Revolution, its sturdy construction turned it into a makeshift fortress for soldiers. Then, in the 1950s, the Bank of Mexico moved into the upper floors and made all these modifications that added a ton of weight and stressed the steel frame. But the final blow came in 1985, when that catastrophic earthquake ripped through Mexico City, leaving the palace severely damaged. But its story wasn't over. In the 1990s, it was declared an artistic monument, and a massive, meticulous restoration project began.
And here's a fantastic piece of that story. So, how do you restore a building this complicated back to its original glory? Well, in an incredible stroke of luck, like something out of a movie, researchers actually found the architect Adama Bore's daughter, still living in Italy, and she had her father's original plans and notes, which she donated to the project. This discovery was absolutely invaluable. It let the restorers bring the palace back to the exact vision Boare had almost 100 years earlier.
Which brings us to today. The Palacio Postal isn't some relic frozen in time. It is a living, breathing monument, a unique place that perfectly balances mail, museums, and memory.
And that's because it really is a building with two souls. On one hand, it's a national artistic monument. It's home to a museum and a priceless historical library. But here's the magic, the thing that makes it so special. It is still a real working post office. You can walk up to the same gilded counters that have served the public since 1907 and mail a postcard. It's not a relic. It's living history you can actually be a part of.
And a visit today means you get to experience both of its souls. You can wander through the Postal Museum and marvel at a penny black, the world's very first stamp. You could step into the library and look at documents from as far back as 1580. And then, during the holidays, you can watch the whole place transform into the Palace of Desires as thousands of kids line up to mail their letters to Santa, keeping the magic of physical mail alive for a whole new generation. So, the Palacio Postal stands today as this gorgeous, golden monument to a time when communication was a physical act, a tangible connection. And it leaves us with a question to think about. In our age of instant messages and digital pings that disappear in a second, what is the value of a palace that's dedicated to the humble, enduring power of the letter?